The first I heard of Wallows was their self-released single Pleaser. And yeah, it was because the lead singer Minette was in 13 Reasons Why, a little Netflix show you might have heard of and proceeded to block from your mind. But maybe it was worth sitting through that show if it brought my attention to this band, because they've gone on to be one of my favourite artists. And their music has helped me through some of the biggest times of change and stress in my life. Minette, Braeden, Lemasters and Preston have been best friends since they were kids. So it's not surprising that a lot of their music focuses on the theme of growing up. Their shared experiences mean that they've put out some very personal and creative music in their time as the band Wallows, which I think is most clear in their first album Nothing Happens, but they were exploring these ideas before that. As I said, Wallows first appeared with the song Pleaser. It's an energetic burst of angst and awkwardness, an honest depiction as someone who might be falling in love for the first time and hasn't a clue what to do about it. That feeling of being unsure of what the other person wants, worrying about how you come across, and ultimately feeling too anxious to really share how you feel.
You're talking while you're fast asleep as I walk slowly from your house. Back in your room remain the words I wanna say to you but couldn't leave my house.
It's a great first release if you ask me. The band has a clear identity already, and this song gives you a good idea of what to expect from them beyond this. I think it's also a heads up for what's to come from them in terms of the structure of their music. A lot of their songs and both albums have a kind of cycle to them, ending where they began or subverting the original verse's lyrics. This song starts with the protagonist choosing to leave rather than admit their feelings, as they're not sure how the person will react. By the end, they feel they've embarrassed themselves by saying too much. It flips from the other person talking in their sleep to the singer now speaking and wide awake to realise their stress. They follow this up with Suntan, which is pure sunny California palm tree vibes, and the introduction of the trumpet, which is an aspect of their sound that I think makes them stand out a bit more from similar indie stuff. The summery music contrasts with the darkness of the lyrics, which is also something they often do. It's about someone who's frustrated with their relationship, and maybe their life in general. It's full of sarcasm, the snarky opening setting the tone for the song. This person is clearly fed up. Everything always seems to go wrong for them. And when they realise their relationship is taking a turn for the worse, they'd rather ignore the issue and try to gloss over it. In the end, instead of actually dealing with the problem they have, by being open with their partner and maybe ending the relationship, he avoids discussing the problems altogether. In 2018, they released their first EP, Spring. This was produced by John Congleton, who's worked with the likes of Phoebe Bridgers, St. Vincent, David Byrne. The man has literally worked with everyone. So this was a big step for Wallows, and I think it had a big influence on the kind of music they'd go on to make. Spring is characterised by a more chill, introspective feeling than their earlier singles. It's where they first start to explore the theme of growing up and losing your youth. It has a couple of big songs for them, like Pictures of Girls and These Days, but I think the song that sums up what their first album would be about lyrically is Ground. Ground is from the point of view of someone going through memories of youth and the freedom of it. How when you're young you can't wait to grow up, but now how you wish you could go back. It makes you think of times like graduating school or college. You have to say goodbye to a part of your life that once it's gone, you're never going to get back. But in the end, these memories and the people in them are good and help make you the person you are now. So don't let yourself forget them.
Don't let them take away all the games we play. Go on and take a bow, 'cause it's over now.
Their debut album Nothing Happens came out the following year and was also produced by Congleton. The flow of this album made it so easy for me to listen to over and over when it first came out. Everything just feels like it fits together so well, as songs about youth, relationships, and change shift seamlessly into each other to make the album version of your favourite coming-of-age teen movie. Treacherous Doctor is still a standout for me and still one of their most dark songs. It's coming from someone going through a bit of an existential crisis. They're hypercritical of themselves and are wary of opening up these dark thoughts to someone else.
Could I trust you with my thoughts, or would you use them all against me?
As it goes on, the song starts to question what's the point of even trying? If you're just going to feel like this either way, then why put yourself out there at all? Are the things we think we're passionate about really just distracting us from the inevitable? The things we make really don't mean anything in the end.
All the things I think are important, simply just distractions from life. All of my ideas turn to content, they can be conceived till they're real.
Towards the end, the song explodes into a burst of energy. Drums, guitar, and piano all assault in your ears as the person unleashes their anger and stress. It could be a breakdown or a relief, but the song doesn't end on a relief note, really. It goes back to the theme of losing your youth, without a whole lot of hope for the future.
Love and teams and life in the Tron is nothing much to look forward to. I can't help but cry on vacation. Is this the way to exit my youth?
This was probably one of my most played from the album. Cheesy as it is, it felt like it was putting into words and music a lot of the things I was feeling at the time. Halfway through college, not sure what I wanted to do and without much self-worth. This feeling that I was alone, others wouldn't understand, even though that obviously isn't true. I like that their music is generally a bit more positive and hopeful than this, but at the right moment this song can perfectly sum up the shittiness of being between teenager and grown up and not really fitting into either. Remember When is another energetic song that betrays the actual content of the lyrics and the story it's telling. The singer is chasing after a relationship that seems to be over. It reflects the common themes of lost youth, fear of change, and growing up.
It seems so long, the moments that stay, they turn out all wrong. When I look around, you're gone.
I think the relationship represents these themes on a more broad scale. Like Wallows often write about longing for youth, but having to move on. In this case, it's a lost love that they don't want to let go.
I get to see you at the place I do when I close my eyes. Do you remember when we felt like the only two alive? Don't let me be one of the people that seek get lost romance.
To be fair, I can't really talk about this era of Wallows and not mention their biggest song, Are You Bored Yet? This was their real breakout hit, even though I think it always feels a bit out of place to me when I look back at all the music they've done now. When revisiting some of these songs, I thought it was interesting that this feels like a continuation of the problem in Suntan. Someone's in a relationship that's not working anymore, but they won't actively try to make things better or make the change that's needed.
'Cause we could stay at home and watch the sunset, but I can't help from asking, are you bored yet? And if you're feeling lonely, you should tell me before this ends up as another memory.
This person could be in the most romantic setting or just relaxing together at home, but either way, it's not working. For them, the relationship is over. They're just waiting for the other person to say something first. But unlike Suntan, this song gives us the point of view of the other person, as sung by Clairo. They're aware of the singer's worries and they'd like to make things work, but they can't do that when the other person isn't being honest with them.
Feels like I've known you my whole life. I can see right through your lies. I don't know where we're going, but I like to be by your side.
Both sides can see something is wrong. One's ready to end things while the other wants to work on it, but neither will come out and say how they're really feeling. It's just easier to wait and hope the other will make the first move. Everything that this album is about, and everything I think that this band is really good at, can be summed up in the final song. Do Not Wait is a very personal song about Dylan Minette as he speaks to his younger self. The lyrics are still full of anxiety, self-loathing and existential dread, but this time he's coming at it from the point of view of someone who's made it through and survived. He's honest, it's not going to be easy, but you'll get there.
There's a time You'll seek out a disguise when you think people hate you the most. And it gets worse before it gets better. That's one thing that I have come to know.
Again, he acknowledges that it's hard to let go of the past and how no one really likes change. But you can grow up without forgetting your past completely. It's still important, and dealing with it will help you through life. And they finally say the album title. I didn't really get the title at all until I heard this song. Throughout it, they've talked about all these huge moments. First love, breakups, struggling with a sense of self. When you're young, these things are the be-all and end-all. They really make or break you, and when it feels bad, it feels like your life will be crap forever. But really, what actually happened? You went through something bad. It was stressful and upsetting, and it felt impossible. But you're still here, and you'll be okay. In the song, he names his specific troubles as a teenager and young adult. First naming the situation that felt like the end of the world, and then going on to say how things really ended up. How he got through it, and sometimes things even ended up being much better than he expected.
Parents will eventually separate. Dad stopped in trash bags in the pool. Oh, guess what? You have a sister now. And as you go on and shit gets hard, don't worry about me. Parents will end up with a
As it ends, the song slowly shifts into the opening riff of Only Friend, and we're back at the start of the album. Another example of the really satisfying cyclical nature of their songs. This technique makes the album so much more fun to listen to, in my opinion, and maybe reflects the themes they've been writing about. When we're trying to move on, we always look back. This idea that you'll always suffer worry and heartbreak, we all will, but things can always still be okay in the end.